Okay, five, four, three, two, one.
We are J and J. He's Justin.
Yeah, that's freaking Jared.
We are two leashed dads that get together to record a podcast for you all while chained to our everyday responsibilities. Some may be parental responsibilities, some may be spousal, whatever, and also managing our habits. That is very difficult. Justin, how was your week? Was it good?
Not to mention habits around our children.
Yeah.
Our
You
habits
don't want to
around our
start
children or other children.
You don't want to start anything that is bad that they can pick up on, and then they're stuck with the habit. So,
Yep, yep. As far as weeks, brief rundown here for you folks, as we love to talk about our weeks, weekly updates, big news, whatnot. Um, my first week of training on my new team was spectacular. Um, really our engagement with our trainers from the company itself, our client, they have been very happy with how we are engaged with them while we're learning their material that we need to sell product. I've passed my 3 assessments for that,
awesome.
which is great. Um, flying colors, flying freaking colors. A total of like 65 questions broken down in 3 different assessments. Um, open book, so it helps. Uh, Early in the
Yeah.
week, due to the nice weather, for all of you those who know, we've had some great weather here, or great, I guess, heat wave um, throughout. Ended up going to a park for a little bit after I got off of work one day, and
Nice.
just had a blast. Got got everybody out. Needed to. It's a good time. Then I am just kind of random thing here, working on revamping my own personal schedule to make time to get these podcasts out again on a more of a faster time, I guess, or earlier in the week rather than a couple of the episodes that have been late. So I apologize on myself, but also, still working on
Yeah.
that schedule. But
No
to some
worries.
people, you don't care as long as the episode comes out, which is fine. But I had a schedule going and then I fell or it lapsed. Um, but being a parent, sometimes some other things come up. Hopefully, I'll understand that. Um, I installed a new basement gate because our old basement gate had broken. Went a couple weeks without a gate, which is very interesting, knowing that now my children have access to me while I'm working after they come home from school. Um, so, you know, they
Yeah.
did pretty good though when they came home from school. They didn't necessarily always come down and bug daddy while he was still working. But new gate, it's pretty great. Hopefully it'll last for a while until all children know not to go downstairs, um, or are old enough to come downstairs without getting hurt, aka the little ones, like Eleonora, who is probably gonna, I won't say start crawling soon, but getting to that point where all of a sudden wants to explore on her own and maybe finds an opening to a gate that shouldn't be there, and boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
But and another thing, I've come down with a cold, unfortunately, which has caused some exhaustion in me. So one thing that happened here, um, it started happening Thursday, Friday, so it made training a little difficult for myself. But my wife said you look like crap, which is funny because I felt like
Aw.
crap. Um, and she's like, "Oh my God, you just do not look good." And I'm like, it's especially on a Friday too. I'm like, I'm sitting here trying to make it through my training, and it was all role play training basically today. Or
Oh.
on Friday, working with the client, working with other people, and it was our first day of like verbalizing some of the stuff. And when you're in the medical field, folks, for those of you who are in the medical field and selling, it's different. Or like or the health industry, there are things you
Mm-hmm.
have to be compliant with. So if you're selling your product, there are sometimes you cannot say certain things or make claims that you don't have. And I know, Jared, you nodding your head, and it's like insurance is kind of the same thing, right? You can't
Yep.
necessarily, you have to stay in compliance with what you have. Um, so it's very interesting, and everybody has gone through it, I'm sure, and it just takes time to develop your habits and making sure you don't get those um, statements of claims or opinions within their within your wording when you're talking to your customers. Um, Saturday was a great day. Holy crap! Although it was very busy for us, I told Sam I was going to need like 2 to 3 energy drinks just to get through the day. I had a funeral to go to, sadly, um,
Oh.
but it was a very small funeral. But then again, I'm like, hey, a lot of people aren't turning out for this. It was for somebody older, and a lot of their friends have already probably passed too. But family was there, so that's kind of what's really important, um, and whatnot. And then went to a birthday party at a place called Love to Play. It's a nice playground for kids. They can just do whatever they want for a few hours. Um, but it was for a 1 year old, which is very interesting going to a party for a 1 year old. Um,
Yeah.
but there's nothing wrong with it, right? Obviously, you always have your parties for your little children. Um, but it was basically somebody that Sam worked with, um,
Okay.
that had one of their had their 1 year old child's birthday party there. So it was a good time. The little boys had fun playing there, and surprisingly, I want to share this because they have like a mini area for like arcade games and whatnot, and we were given cards to play.
Mm-hmm.
Not one time did either boy, and like Sam was going to try to offer them the game cards. Like,
Yeah.
if you've been to like Badger Sports Park or some other places that require game cards nowadays, like Dave and Buster's, and on your cards they have so many credits. Yeah, these kids, when we go there normally, they want to play the games. Sam was going to hand them out a card and be like, "Here, you want to go play arcade games?" Never even got the chance. But yeah, it was
What?
surprising that they never wanted to go play on the arcade games. So,
Oh my
it's a good thing.
gosh.
Um, Birthday party was great. Then we had a cookout at our house. We had some friends come over. This is where I took the opportunity to break out the bounce house for the kids, which
Ooh.
is a big indicator because it also says, "Hey, the bounce house is up. Other children in the neighborhood want to play," which is fine. We had them. They also played, and they had a fun time. So it's a safe environment too. Not to mention, um, I'm okay with it. Last thing I've been doing, it's not so much a weekly update, but it's just something that all of you those who know or have heard the past episodes like about hobbies, I've been relearning or learning slash relearning French here. Um, and I wanted to try something. And what I'll do here with my baby girl is sit with her and go through some of my lessons, French lessons with her, getting her kind of div- getting the bilingual setup going right away, so she's learning something else, rather than maybe just English all the time and not being able to speak another language. Um, I you know I'm not going to force it down her throat if she doesn't want to necessarily do it later on, but giving her the exposure to another language is, I would say,
Right.
very critical. So, um, if she wants to learn French, I mean, maybe she'll start speaking French. Who knows? But that'd be great because that means somebody else I can practice with. But that's my week, kind of in a gist. Oh, Arlo also had a birthday party today, a skating party. And again, he chose some roller skates, so the four wheels on the outside basically, and then the brake in the front. And then I went with inline skates or roller blades, which are the four wheels in a line together down the middle of the skate itself, and then one brake on the right foot, and the left foot has no brake at all. It tired me out, so I took a nap earlier today as well. On top of the not feeling so great, so that's my week in a nutshell. Jared, let's hear your week.
Well, it was very busy, and it was nice because the weather was so beautiful. Got some time to soak up some rays, which was much needed. Some vitamin D and whatnot.
Yeah,
It's the
you're
first.
ghostly white boy.
Yeah, and it was the first great week out of the year. So you were trying to spend as much time as possible outside, which is kind of hard to do when you have an office job. But uh, Wednesday was really busy. I had oil change, 3 dentist appointments, went into the store, got some veggies to grill out, and just yeah, it was great. And then with that warm weather came the super dry, and there was a fire warning for the entire state, and there was some wildfires.
You had a fire warning? Hell, dude, I was seeing on my weather app a freaking river flood warning advisory throughout the
Oh,
state. I'm like,
yeah.
nope, I haven't seen anything. But yeah,
Yeah, so it was crazy because it was super dry, and I was even nervous about starting up the grill because there are some flyaway ashes, but it was
hmm
all right. I had the hose at at the ready just in case.
Oh, look at
Uh,
you. Very. So, do you have a charcoal grill or what kind of fire or
yeah,
grill do you have? Okay.
yep. I got charcoal. I got two
I
charcoal ones.
I miss
One's
charcoal
a
grills.
smoker. Yeah,
I miss charcoal grills. I have a propane grill, but it's okay. I get through it.
yeah. I
It
mean,
definitely
propane's
it definitely
nice,
cooks
but
different.
yeah. Some more outdoor time in Elkhart Lake this weekend. I helped
Ooh,
my dad split some wood. Not some, a lot of wood. Huge, massive logs. Antonio helped, which was really nice. He did such a great job with working the log splitter, setting up the wood to be split. He did all aspects of it. It was nice. It was nice to spend
cool.
some time with him and do some hard labor and good family time.
It's good for a
And
kid.
then today, I unfortunately had a funeral to go to in East Troy. One of my coworkers' dads, he passed,
Mm,
so it was
never
a
a fun
sad
time.
affair. But
I
yeah,
I'm sorry.
it is. Yeah, he had a long battle of cancer, so I'm sure it was a relief to him. But while I was in East Troy, which is close to Whitewater, I decided to go down Nostalgia Lane, drive around the old homestead.
I did see that. That was a great picture.
Boy, has it changed.
I could believe that. I mean, here, for those of you who don't know, uh, is it still, which bar did you actually go to?
Fat Jacks.
You went to
They
Fat
had a
Jack's?
fire.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
they had
I
a
do actually
fire,
see it.
and they had to like redo most of the interior, so
Okay. Yeah, it was
it
probably a
looks
good
pretty
time for them
different
to
in there.
rebuild though too. They got the insurance to cover probably the rebuild or the
Yep.
remodel.
And Justin, they still have their wing special.
But that's a Wednesday thing, isn't it?
I know.
Yeah. Oh, so it doesn't apply to you. You were there on a Sunday.
I know. I
But
had a
it's
chicken
good to
wing
know that they have their wing special on a Wednesday still. I wonder if
and
they obviously
trivia.
they still have to have trivia. I was gonna say that's a huge thing.
Yeah.
So I missed their trivia. It was good
Did
times.
you play trivia with us?
Yeah.
Were you on my team?
Yes.
The
We
Flying
started.
Mongooses? Okay.
Yeah, and then we brought one of our other friends into it because we had some sports questions that we were unsure of, and when we got to that
That's
part, we're like,
right.
"Oh, we wish we would have had this guy here." And we just, not to mention, we all loved Fat Jacks anyway, so we just started going.
Yeah, because I remember Alex and Chaz
Yeah,
was like the main
and then you got
two.
me dragged into it.
Okay.
It was you,
All
Alex,
right.
and Chaz, and then you got me pulled in, and then I brought Nate in.
Yep. Yeah, Nate
So
crushed it with the sports stuff.
yeah, exactly, and some number stuff too.
Yeah.
So good times, miss them. I'm a little jealous,
Yeah, what
envious
is
that
he?
you were
Do you
down
know what
there.
he's doing these days?
Something in Madison area. Definitely
Okay.
not what he went. Not definitely not something he went to school for by any means, because he is a certified public accountant, if I recall. But he's
Jesus.
not. He's not exercising that degree by any means.
I'm not an advertising person.
You're kind of advertising our show as well as we go along. Okay, you're not
Kinda.
really
I mean, yeah,
advertising. We're trying
if
to
I had
market a
some
little bit, but
yeah.
what else? I mean, okay, so you had a funeral. You ended up revisiting Whitewater for nostalgia reasons. Um, I mean, splitting wood for summer. That sounds like a fun time. I mean, that was some good labor right there.
Yep.
So, God,
Nothing else.
no, cool. I
No.
love it. I love it. I love it. So, we're talking about habits tonight. Last week we did children's habits, such as biting their nails, picking their nose. Help me out, Jared. What other habits are there? Why are you
Yeah, I don't
drawing a
know.
blank? Why is it always the disgusting ones that are so easy to remember? Biting their nails,
Because
picking their
they're
nose.
disgusting.
Um, if I had, shame I didn't write them down elsewhere. Uh, but that's all right.
Same.
Point being, we're going to continue tonight is going to be kind of a continuation, except now we're going to focus on maybe some parent habits that you have. And do note that they're not necessarily parent habits that are developed because of being a parent, but they're more or less maybe some habits you had that have stuck with you, that you may do or do not do around your children. But I think our plan tonight is really to maybe discuss some of the things where you're trying to watch uh, the habits you do around your children.
Yeah.
You know, or when you are dealing with your children, it kind of maybe some things it does deal with how the development of habits around your children, such as here's a good example. Are you one of those parents that have developed the habit of saying yes or no to your children a lot? Um, Maybe even over and under punishing. Um, has that become a habit? If your child does something they should probably get punished for, are you one that are you in the habit of punishing them over and over again? Or if they, are you not punishing them enough as a habit? Um, just maybe some good or bad habits there, here or there. Um, or there's some other things that have come up. And this one, I don't know if I'll actually call it a habit, but I wanted to discuss it with this one, just because I think sometimes it might come up with some parenting. But a parenting schedule, such as taking turns with responsibilities. Um, this may be more applicable to maybe creating some time for yourself. Uh, but I mean, it's a habit. Some parents do it or whatnot, and it becomes a habit. Uh, Making sure you are taking a fair amount of responsibilities or chores, or making sure you're, splitting those up or not being the one stuck with doing the same thing over and over again. So, Jared, take it away here, my friend. Uh, I want to start with you. You just pick and choose what you want to go with. We'll start.
So let's do sleeping to start off with, just because it's number one on the list, and I'm tired right now. So, uh, what do you, what is your I know there are some parents out there who have children that sleep through the night, and for those people, I want to say you're evil, and I do not like you.
Okay, I would love to
Just saying.
know if their children are always sleeping through the night. What are you doing to your child? Are
Right?
you are
But
you
that's
are
just
you I don't want to assume. I'm not actually being, by any means putting out an assumption there. Just curious, are you giving them a little bit of alcohol like whiskey to help them sleep? Or I know there are people that are probably out there that do it. Um, Even the like the small amount. I'm not by no means am I ever going to call you a bad parent for doing that, but your sleeping is important too. Um, I I may make the recommendation of stop, but by no means am I going to say bad
yeah.
parent.
Uh,
Um,
but all joking aside, I don't hate you. I love you, but
I'm jealous if you have
you're
that.
very lucky to have kids that sleep through the night because for the past 4 years, I have had maybe a month's worth of solid sleep through the entire night.
What's solid sleep to you? What is
So,
solid sleep to you?
so my sleeping habit pattern would, and I am not a morning person at all. Never have been. I literally feel sick to my stomach if I get up too early, no matter
Mm.
what time I go to bed. It's just something I have to deal with. I don't know why. My wife says I'm making it up, that I'm crazy, but it's true. I'm not making it up. And why, of all things, I can make up. Anyway, uh, if I had my ideal pattern, I'd be in bed at like 11 o'clock because I like to do. I'm a night owl. I have my second wind around 8:30, 9 o'clock, except for tonight.
Makes
Um,
sense.
and then ideally get up around 8:30.
Okay.
So
Yeah, but you got to
from
be at
11 to
work before
8:30.
then, don't you?
I know I have to, and that's part of, so on the days that I have to go into the office, I have to wake up at like 6 o'clock in the morning, which
I mean, you did say
I have to be
ideal,
very
so.
careful on what I eat the night before
Hmm.
and what I eat and drink that morning
Sure.
so I don't get sick.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Yeah. No, that's a great. Thank you very much for sharing that because I like to hear the ideal sleeping habit that you have. For me, let's talk about my habit of sleeping. Um, my my children, my older children, are actually fairly good at sleeping through the night. This weekend has been kind of a joke, um, where my middle eldest child has woken up, um, and he came out. I was down. I don't remember what I was. I think I was grabbing something to eat or drink, but he comes out and says, "I'm hungry." I'm like, "All right, well, you can have this." Like, give him a string cheese or whatnot, and he's like, "I can find it on my own. You can go back upstairs." By the way, guys, this was kind of one of his ways of being sneaky and falling asleep on the couch.
Oh,
He's starting to
is it
develop that.
lighter downstairs? Why does he want to sleep on the
Well,
couch?
he's already on the main floor. Like his room is on the main
Yeah.
floor. But it's the weekend and he wants to sleep on the couch. He had slept on the couch the
Okay.
night before, which is fine. We're not mad at him for doing it by any means. It's just funny and the fact he probably thinks we don't know he did it when we really do know. So,
He's trying to pull a fast one on you.
yeah, exactly. But I mean, Sam had gone downstairs and checked or went to, I think, use the bathroom or whatever, and she saw that there was a tablet on the couch and whatnot. So it was like on and like there was a video going on, so she knew he was there. Um, but they're pretty good about sleeping through the night, right? There may be some time where they wake up, have a nightmare or something like that. We handle it, we get them back to bed. My ideal sleep schedule, I would say very similar to you, Jared. Um, I'm actually trying to be up in bed by about 10:30. But I don't, but I'll stay on my phone a little bit or whatnot, watch some TV, and then go to sleep.
Okay.
So it'll probably be like 11:30 or whatnot before I do fall asleep. And then usually waking up at about, this is a bad habit, getting up at about, having my first alarm go off at like 5:30. And then my second alarm is 5:50. So it takes me a little bit to get going. And then my final alarm that I normally do get up to goes off at 6:15. And
Hmm.
that's the time
Okay.
I get up, start getting dressed, and then I'm downstairs just before 6:30 and waking my children up at 6:30 to get them ready for school, and then take them to grandma's. Hi, kiddo. So, um, but yeah, no, it's that's kind of like my sleep habit. I do disturb that habit when I in the past have wanted to play video games or stream. Um, so I would normally put the kids to bed or whatnot. And then from there, I would stay up till, midnight and then still go to bed and get up at like 5:30, 6 o'clock, get the kids to school or get them to their destination so they can go to school. Um, but yeah, so that was kind of a sleep habit I had. Uh, the streaming has been on a hiatus recently due to newborn. It makes it kind of difficult, but children do make sleeping habits hard. Um, and thankfully, my 3 month old does sleep through the night pretty damn well. Or if she's not, Sammy's usually the one taking care of her right now. Um, and it's really just like maybe the feeding and whatnot. But before, and now thankfully Sam is off of work until June/July. Uh, so again, milking the time off to spend the quality time and final time she'll be able to take a big leave of absence like this, um, and whatnot. So compared to other times where it's been just like the natural time off. So nothing
Yeah.
wrong there. But so that's our sleeping habits there. Um, Maybe if you're lucky enough and have those children, I mean, I don't know. all children are different. Jared's, for example, they apparently don't like sleeping through the night for some reason, so they're waking his ass up. Um, I don't know. Maybe Jared, speak more on that.
What?
Your children waking you up. Do you know what time they get you up or come into your room saying they can't sleep?
It's
Because
usually about 11:30 or 11.
so just before you're heading to bed,
And
huh?
no, it's because we are usually in bed around 10:30, quarter to
Oh, okay.
11. So then we fall asleep completely, and then we're woken up.
Mm.
Uh, but they don't know. They don't answer me when I say, "Well, why don't sleep in your own bed?" They don't get it. I don't know. They just wake up and then they come downstairs and then they expect and then they're awake and then they just want to
Oh,
sleep in our bed. So
I don't. We
yeah,
don't let our children sleep in our bed. We even with them being old enough, um, we'll have our eldest come in every now and then when he has a hard time sleeping. But he brings stuff up and sleeps on the floor. That's the thing. We don't want them sleeping in the bed with us. One, for the fact that it can get too hot in there, and we don't like being overly hot. I've actually recently had some sleeping problems due to it being hot, and usually I'm okay, but no, it's just been too hot these past couple nights. But no, he'll come in. He'll just normally sleep out or sleep on the floor. It's kind of the thing he's developed into. Not so much a habit, just when he's got issues like not being able to fall asleep, or maybe for some reason something's got him spooked a little bit. So he needs
yeah,
like that little safety comfort, I guess. Um, but other than that, usually can sleep through the night pretty damn well. Um, But that's kind of weird because our kids. So our kids go to bed. Um, our 4 and 5 year old goes to bed at about 8. We put them down around 8:30. Then our 10 year old we don't put down till about 9:30, so he gets a little like an hour, um, extra time. And then of course our youngest, our 3 month old, she'll come up to bed with us, and obviously she sleeps in a bassinet next to our bed. So
okay, right, yeah,
she has that, she comes up with us and still sleeps through the night for as much as I honestly know. Um, because I'm normally if I when I do fall asleep, I'm out cold. Um, at that point. So if she's waking up, it's not saying that I wouldn't help, but Sam has usually been the one taking care of it. Um, but yeah, so I mean, my sleeping habit has been getting a decent amount of sleep or trying to get at least 6, 7 hours of sleep. Um, the 8 hours. I mean, I know a lot of people, or there's been science done on this that between 6 to 8 hours is ideal range um, for sleep. So if you're able to do that, that's great. But then there are times where you're just not able to. So maybe make your focus on that, knowing that if you go to bed at like 11 o'clock, try to sleep till about 7, unless you have to get up in the morning or whatnot, or maybe try to shift your arrangement a little bit. I know it can be difficult with newborns or babies in general, um, especially if you're trying to split your parenting duties with them and give your significant other a chance to sleep or get some rest in as well. Um, so best of luck, however you want to make it work. More power to you. Like I said, actually, honestly, Sam would try to tend to them before when they were like when our boys were young. But then every now and then she would wake me up before she starts feeding them, and I would change their diaper, and then after that I'd go back to sleep, and she would feed them, and then she'd put them back in the bassinet. And that was kind of the thing we've always done. Um, but now it's feed and go back to sleep, essentially. So, uh, but yeah, so if you're concerned about your own sleeping habits, maybe try to start a time where your children are in bed at a reasonable time, which gives you some downtime to yourself. Maybe go to bed at 10:30, or get up to bed or wherever your bedroom is and get in there by 10:30 and try to fall asleep. I don't know. I'm not going to tell you how to live your life, but maybe making just that slight recommendation to help get some decent sleep if you're struggling to get sleep, or maybe start working on a parenting schedule and taking on some of those responsibilities and splitting the responsibilities. Which actually, since talking about that a little bit with sleeping, let's go into that one. Parenting schedule. Would you, Jared, make a recommendation to do something like this? Make it a habit.
Yeah, I do have it where we take turns. It's the lines have been kind of blurred off and on, but the attempt is still there. We still take as much turn. We still try to do a balancing act as much as possible.
Okay. So
I
what
think
what
so.
what is it like for you? I guess
I
share some of
That's
those
my
responsibilities that you guys
goal.
are trying to split.
I'm sorry. I don't want to put my foot in my mouth
Yeah, okay.
because
Maybe
I know
maybe
that
then
somebody
don't.
does listen to this podcast.
Maybe
And
then don't.
anyway, the goal is to share responsibilities with parenting. One day, I do dishes and she's on top of the girls while they are on their rampage. She does the dishes or whatever the hell the next day, and I'm on the girls with their rampage. Or like for sleeping, when we have to put them to sleep, we'll just take turns. Whoever has Cora during the nap during the day doesn't have to put them to bed at night,
Okay.
except when it's Sunday and I'm talking to you, wonderful people. So that's kind of what you're getting at, right? Just taking turns and
Yeah.
kind of having a loose schedule about running after the
Yeah.
kids.
Exactly. I mean, because Sam and I here, we don't have. Not if you want, you guys can certainly write things down. I think that can cause some stress though, or when you have maybe
Oh, the fisticuffs.
fisticuffs. Exactly. I think that can cause
It's
some
written
tension.
down.
It's written down. It's on our fridge. You should be abiding by it. Um, but no. So Sam and I, we don't have anything really written down, but we do share responsibility. All right, and whether it be dishes, whether it be laundry, um, maybe it's no. Sam usually tends to Eleanor through the day, where they'll cuddle, but when I'm around, I'll hold her. We both love her so damn much that we just want to just have her. But there are some times where we just need time alone, right? I mean, she does have Eleanor does have her moments where she's very fussy, like being a major fuss butt. So we just sometimes the one parent just is up to here. As much as we don't necessarily take it out on our baby by any means, but we're ready to call it quits. Um, so we'll split that there as well. I normally tend to dishes. Sam will normally tend to laundry when we get the time, but or
Yeah,
I'll do cooking and whatnot. Um, so it's not. And then when it comes to our older boys and getting them cleaned up or making sure their hygiene's there, we'll take turns getting them in the bath, um, or just kind of going through it. But we do offer. You want me to do it, or do you want to do it? So it's not like all right, it's your turn to go do it. We just say who wants to do it.
which is
So
best to do if it's a loose system and you're just kind of like, I don't really want to piss anybody off, so I'm gonna go ask just to make sure that, or I will declare it at dinner time. Here's what I have going on tonight as far as duties around the house.
right,
That way, we know what I'm gonna be doing. So
yep.
yeah,
And even on nights like tonight, Sunday night, when we are recording our episodes here, I get the boys down to bed. Um, I like to do that because it's my thing. It's one of the things I really like to do, and they sometimes like to have stories read to them. Not saying Sam wouldn't do it by any means. It's just something I've always done for him. Um, I don't have a problem if she ever does it either. She'll probably do it on Wednesday when you know, for some for other things that are coming up as well. Um, but so we're sharing the load, taking a burden off of each other. Because heck, we will also take time to take. One of us will alternate when we take Kane to like wrestling practice. Uh, Maybe
Mm-hmm.
someday Sam needs to get out of the house for like the hour or so, or she'll even offer, "It's like, do you want to take him to practice?" Be like, "Yeah, you know, you need to get out of the house. Go, take him, get out of the house for the hour, whatever." So it's not bad by any means. Um, it's again a very loose thing, but we're always asking. We're not saying, "Okay, well now it's your turn to go do this," and making him feel like, "Oh, it's something I always have to do." I've had that issue before, guys. I've lived through that, and I've actually been a little vocal about it before, where I've always felt like I've done basically all the housework just because every time I'm doing dishes, it's like feel like I'm always the one doing dishes, or I'm always the one taking care of the dogs, or what there it may be. I felt like I was always doing something, and then everybody else was doing nothing. Um, so if you get to that point, maybe this is where you need to be a little vocal about what's going on. Um, but overall, I think it'd be a good habit to maybe have some sort of loose schedule for responsibilities, whether it be doing some chores around the house or your children as well, just to get into some sort of routine and habit that you're going to do to make both parent or like yours and your significant other's lives a little easier and less stressed. Uh, Again, just a recommendation. You don't necessarily need to do it if you two have already had some sort of discussion and know how you want to do it. If you want to be the one doing cooking and cleaning or dishes or whatever, by all means, just make sure maybe you're not the one always doing chores in the house then. Maybe they do the
Right.
laundry. So just splitting them up in ways that make it fair enough to each person. Um, that way you're not screwing yourself over.
Yeah. Agreed.
But there's also been I've experienced it, or I feel like I personally have not experienced it, but I hear about it, and like in my head, I feel like other people are getting screwed over when it comes to certain things or how they take care of their children. I feel like sometimes
Well,
one parent is always taking care of the children and the other parent. Not saying they're not, but it feels like when I hear something, it's like, yep, this person's stuck with them, and then somebody else is not. I'm like, and how are we sharing this? How are you guys sharing the workload? Because it feels like you're doing all the work and then your significant other isn't.
it's hard. I mean, I was fortunate enough to have somewhat of an open dialogue right out the gate when Eleanor was born. Uh, I was busy taking care of the house, getting everything ship shape,
Right.
and just not being very present for my wife and newly born daughter because I was more worried about making sure everything was done around the house, making sure the garage was tidy and clean.
Mm,
And we just had a serious conversation because she wanted me to be more with with them. So I
that makes sense.
and then it I kind of got used to that where I was around more often. And then something sparked again where she felt where she was doing most of the work, and she was, and sometimes she does, and I will admit that. But folks, if you are unhappy with something in your marriage, please, for God's sakes, do not hold it in.
Doesn't even have to be a marriage.
It's
It can just be a relationship that
a
you're in.
friendship, anything. Yeah, exactly. Relationship, whatever. Not everybody's married, but you know, what you don't want is one night where it all explodes and in a mouth full of word vomit and feelings might get hurt because you're so overwhelmed with emotion. uh I've had that happen, unfortunately, but it's we're all human. It's okay. And the more you have the conversations, the better off you'll be, so people don't
Open
feel
and honest
like.
conversation is always critical. So, and
Yeah.
yeah, I'm sure you hear that all the time, and then you go, "Yeah, I'll be that person." Oh, Okay, I'm making an assumption, and I apologize for making an assumption. Or presuming that people do this. But you go, I mean, I think I've told myself this at one point too. I'm like, I will never be in one of those like closed up type of relationships where I don't talk. Nope.
It's
I've
not
always been
healthy.
somebody that kind of has bottled things up, and hit a breaking, like a point where it just floods out. Uh, it's
Yeah.
not healthy by any means because you keep letting it bottle up, you become overstressed, which then affects you, and it's, your significant other and others can start seeing it bottle, seeing something happen. But point being, Jared, I think you've really touched it where, like you said, with your firstborn child, Eleanor, that you weren't necessarily participating in her life early on or being in her a parenting role at that point. Um, so it's very good to have an open dialogue, regardless of what the scenario is. Um, and if you're not having those types of dialogues, you're probably hurting yourself a little bit. But again, make sure you share responsibilities or do your best to share responsibilities when it comes to taking care of children. That way, you're not feeling like you're doing all the work or vice versa. So, here, here's a good one. And I think this is huge. As we mentioned early on, the habits around your children that you already have. Substance, substance use. And I'm not talking, you know, are you doing drugs in front of your children? But just like, I mean, how are you drinking? Are you smoking in front of your children? Or do
I would hope
you,
you're not doing drugs in front of your kids, but
I mean, some parents do, but that's just reality,
I,
right?
yeah,
Now, sometimes, I mean, there are some parents that are out there that go hide away in their room, and maybe they're old. If they have older children, they know those children know what the parents are doing, so it's not really. I don't know, but I've seen it where you know you can still smell it. That's the problem. Um, but what about you? I mean, I know from school and everything, you smoked. So is that still something you do around children at all, or are they
no,
aware that you smoke?
no, and I don't. No. For those of you who do not know, I did smoke cigarettes in college, and a little bit afterwards, but I have no problem quitting, and I would never do it in front of my kids. I have done it in front of Antonio once or twice or a handful, but not in front of the girls.
Hmm.
Because of the reason I don't want it to become a normal thing for them to see somebody doing. And as far as drinking, then yeah, I mean I've had wine and other drinks in front of the girls, but that's coming to an end.
Well, okay, so I mean, smoking is one thing. We all have maybe family members out there that do like to smoke, or if you are a smoker, are you mindful when you are around your children? I want to ask this openly, but or have you think about it? Do you actually smoke in front of your children, or are they, do you smoke in your own room, closed off from them, or do you go outside? I mean, granted, it's your house, so you're probably going to do what you want. But are you cognizant of their awareness? I'm not saying you don't care about your children by any means. Um, and obviously, I mean, I know you love your child or children, so you're going to do what's best for them anyways. But when it comes to like a smoking habit or a drinking habit, I don't want to pigeonhole necessarily on smoking, but this is the one that a lot of people probably do, where they may often smoke in their own house because it is their house, right? So their house, their rules. They want to smoke, they can smoke. But when you're around your children, I'm just curious: are you actually smoking away from your children, or let's say you have some company over that brings their children over, right? So family members or friends that your kids and their kids get together and play, are you cognizant of smoking in front of your friends' children as well? Um, or how does that work out? Uh, you know, I've got family members that have smoked, but they're very cognizant of like our children and our rules of not smoking in our house. We don't let smoke in the house. We don't smoke.
Hell no.
Um, I'd probably beat the crap out of somebody if they started smoking in my house.
Yeah.
Um, because I don't want my house smelling like smoke. But they are pretty good about taking it outside or smoking outside, which that doesn't bug me. It really comes down to doing it in front of my children or near my children because I don't because of the health concerns. Um, as far as drinking, I mean, one or two drinks, like you said, the glass of wine or whatever. I wouldn't be too concerned about that. But is it where your habit is so bad, like an
Where you're getting shitty
alcoholic
every night.
habit, where you're,
Yeah.
yeah, or let's say you're an angry drunk, right? So if you are getting drunk every single night
Yeah.
and that angry personality comes out, that would be my concern or something I want you to become cognizant of. Now, granted, again, I'm not telling you stop drinking. I just want to make you aware or help you try to become aware. Is that something that happens with you and around your children? I personally, I've honestly stopped drinking. It was kind of a college thing for me, truthfully. Um, but then, having children, I've really cut back. Um, where it's not necessarily going out getting hammered or even at my house, I have alcohol, but I don't necessarily touch it all the time. Um, it may be one or two nights um, when I have some want. It's not a need, it's a want when I want to crack something open and drink. But even so, it's not like I'm going three, four drinks down and then
Right.
I, becoming a burden to my children and my wife by any means. I'm still just trying to have a good time. Still able to take care of my kids in a way and not have them be concerned about it. So, what are yours? I mean, you said you don't smoke. You basically kind of quit, or you won't do it around your girls. Do you smoke outside, or are you done?
I'm done.
Okay. I mean, I don't
And
remember.
it was never in the house, never in the apartment. It was never indoors.
Okay. So you were able to quit and not really worry about that. I'm proud of you for that.
Well,
I
it just
couldn't
got to the
personally
point.
remember.
Yeah, it just got to the point where it wasn't enjoyable anymore, and I just got sick after a while from it. Was, yeah,
Bad
so
feeling.
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, as far as drinks, it's getting less and less, just because I don't want them seeing Daddy have multiples, in the night. I'm not an angry drunk either,
Well, I'm
but
not.
I just don't
It was
want
an
that
example.
sluggish. Yeah, it was just I don't want that sluggishness. Daddy has something that I can't have, and yeah,
Mm.
so
And not to mention, then all of a sudden you
just
think of it too.
personal.
If you're getting drunk for a night, and then the next morning rolls around, how do you feel?
Ugh.
I hate it. I hate that feeling. And even when I do have a good night, like last year, I went out for my birthday, and I mean, I came home, right? Uh, my kids were already asleep, but I ended up coming home, and then the next morning I felt like crap. And then I feel bad because I still want to do things with my children, but now all of a sudden I feel like crap, so I can't do that.
Yep.
Um, which kind of is, you know, it's sad, but it is what it is. Um, all right. On top of the smoking and drinking, eating habits, guys. What are some of your favorite types of things to do? I mean, you think of it this way, right?
Oh.
We're trying to teach our kids not maybe sometimes they ask you for a snack, right? I'm gonna set up a little scenario here. It's a brief one. Dinner's rolling around. Your child or children come up to you and ask you for a snack. You tell them, no, you don't need to have a snack right now as I'm cooking dinner or going to start
Yeah.
dinner. All right? Are you the parent that's going to be grabbing maybe a small snack for yourself now and eat it in front of them? And I'm not saying, maybe they're asking you for a healthy snack like a string cheese or like a yogurt. Are you going to be the parent that tells them no and then you go grab something from the fridge or your cabinet of food and go, and they see you do it? What about you, Jared?
Well, I like your scenario a lot. It's kind of one of the scenarios that I've been dealing with myself for the past how many years. But if I'm hungry, I'm gonna eat. I'm gonna eat whatever the hell I want because I'm an adult. And
Oh, you're going to play that card?
yes, because damn it, I was one of those kids where I wasn't allowed to eat anything for at certain times of the day, and yeah. So now that I'm
Oh
an
my
adult, I
God.
still have that habit where I'm just gonna eat whatever I want to eat, and that's why I look the way I look for number for number one, because I enjoy a little bit too much food. But
Hey,
no,
I don't.
that's the habit. That's the habit that I don't know if I need to break it, but I really don't feel good about sneaking food behind my kids' backs. And also, I'm also one of those dads that have a stash of chocolate covered pretzels or some sort of other
Uh,
sweet treat. I got a thing of jawbreakers in my desk right now.
oh, nice.
It's just I don't know. It's just a
Okay.
habit of mine
I
it's
can't
daddy's food.
I can't say anything negative. I did the reaction of, oh, that's the card you're gonna play. I'm the adult. I do it too. I will tell my kids no, but when I'm in the kitchen cooking, I am sneaking snacks. Um, but if they
Even
see,
parts of the dinner.
but if,
you
yeah,
know,
well, that's dinner, right? You're actually eating the dinner. You're testing it to make sure it's good or
cut a piece
whatnot
of
or
chicken
cooked
for
all the way.
you on your plate, one for me,
Oh, okay, I
one
don't
for
do
you,
that. I
one for
actually
me.
take it out. I take it right out of the pan and be like, "Oh my God, this is so good." Well,
Yep.
the big thing I don't say because I'm an adult, right? If they catch me eating it, it's like, "Why are you eating?" It's like, because I know I will still eat dinner. Where if you start eating a
Oh, that
snack,
way,
you're not
yes.
going to be eating dinner, and I already know how your habits are when it comes to eating. Like they will basically be like, "I'm full," or "I'm not hungry." It's like, well, you shouldn't have snacked then.
Right.
So it's like I know I will still eat what's on my plate. Um, and I don't put all that much on their plates either. Because sometimes I don't know how much you guys know, uh, or have even thought about this, but sometimes children don't want to eat because of how much is on their plate. So if you put like smaller portions of the dinner on their plate, they might actually eat it. Um, Now, I'm not saying you're wrong for putting a full, like, three, maybe 2.5 servings. But you got to think in relations to what their size is, what's serving to them, and that's a very hard part about food too, right? Is a serving for an adult like ourselves is going to look a whole lot different than a serving to a child and their stomach. So putting a smaller amount on their plate is never a bad thing. That actually might help them eat more, and I've seen that with our children too, um, where I think I've overdone it before, where I put a lot on their plate and they don't really want to eat it all. Um, but I've also had the problem too, where our children have snacked, and I'm like, all right, well now you got to eat what's on your plate. That's what's for dinner, and you knew full well that I was making it, and now you get to sit here and eat it. I've done that before. I've punished them that way because they got caught. I'm like, nope. Sam and I caught them snacking, and I'm like, nope. You will now eat what's on your plate because we told you no because we were starting dinner. But yeah, no, that
Yeah.
I feel like that's a huge one. Is like, why what are your eating habits? You may have those types of. I feel you may feel bad for sneaking them, but I don't play the card of I'm an adult. That's why I'm doing it. I play it because I know that when it comes to dinner, I am still gonna eat. Does it make it okay though? What do you think, guys? Or Jared, what do you think? Does it make it okay to actually have that type of mindset of I'm going to have a snack because I'm an adult, or I'm going to have a snack because I know when dinner comes around, I'm still going to be able to eat all of it. Do you think that's an acceptable mindset?
No, because it leads to an unhealthy habit, lifestyle. I guess if you're eating more food than you should be. I don't
Okay,
know. I
well, I
just like
mean,
food.
okay, that's fair. I mean, but now another mindset though too is like your children are learning from you. So if you're
Yeah.
sneaking and saying it's because I'm an adult and down the road they have children, they develop that habit from you, it's like, "Oh, I'm now the adult in the house. I'm gonna have a snack." And my kids are gonna see me do it, and I get to tell them now it's because I'm an adult, so I get to play that card.
Well,
They
that's
will,
what my mom said. That's where I got it from. So
they
you
kind of
are right.
develop those habits.
Right.
We have, I just be cognizant of it. That's all I'm saying. It's like if you're, that's why I'm asking as well. Is it acceptable to say that, um, or what are your thoughts on it? What are your thoughts on some of these cards or habits you develop as a parent, and how it can carry over into your child when they get older? What's really acceptable? Is that type of eating habit acceptable, or should we all try to stop snacking before dinner and then all come together and make it a family thing, right? But
Yeah.
I know we're getting, as we look at this time, maybe just touch on one more thing here. I don't actually have anything for that.
Damn
So Jared,
cheater.
go on to the next thing. Let's talk something else here.
So, lastly, wanted a quick touch on the swearing.
That's a
Like,
big
how
one.
often do you cuss in front of your kids? F word. You know what cussing is. You're listening to this, for God's sakes. Do you
What
do
the
it in
fuck
front
are
of your
you talking
kids?
about?
Is it is it something that you don't really care and a word's a word, English is English, and words can't really hurt somebody? Or are you a person who is kind of lenient towards proper speaking and not swearing? Uh, Speaking for me, I try to limit it as much as possible. That being said, it's kind of hard when you're all fired up and talking to your significant other, and you're telling a story, and a couple of f bombs slip out or mfs come out here or over there. So it is difficult, but while I'm talking to them, I do not use the swear words. Even when I am angry, I tend to try to limit that as much as possible, just because I don't want them saying that stuff. And yeah, words are words, but still, it's not acceptable to walk up to a teacher and say, "What the are you doing today?" Or "I didn't ask for this." BS.
I mean, okay, so I'm in
You?
I'm I I have that ability to filter myself. And sometimes it's a blessing. So when I am around my kids, I definitely try to, replace. And this might not be necessarily a good thing either, because children will pick up on it. But at least they're picking up on that rather than actually picking up on the words you use. And now yes, I know there are people out there, parents that are out there that may not have a filter. And that's, again, no judgments, but we all are different.
Yep.
I'm lucky to have a filter. So if I'm gonna say fuck, it's gonna come. I'm around my children. It's probably gonna be fudge. Oh fudge, or what the fudge is going on?
I
Um,
say fork
well, okay, that's
just
okay
because
too.
of
But
the
it's
good
so.
place.
I think it's still closer. Like I try to say something that's not necessarily close to it. It still has the F in it. But if you say what the fork, that's still four letters.
Yeah.
You take two of those letters out and replace them with two other letters. Now you got what the fuck. So, I mean, what the fudge doesn't sound anything like it. Uh, I mean, if you guys are ever familiar too, if I don't know how many of you guys remember uh, Spy Kids, but
Shiitake mushrooms.
oh, shiitake mushrooms. Yes. Yes. I mean, they're just trying to, filter it in a sense. They're still saying, oh shit, but they're not, you know, or like Madagascar. Oh, sugar honey iced tea.
Oh yeah.
Spell shit. But yeah, no, I have a filter, or I'm cognizant of what it is. I've got friends that are they do swear as well. I mean, it all becomes natural to us, right? Where we do swear like sailors sometimes, or what there it may be. But then they come into our house. I never say I don't like it when you swear, but they're still cognizant of it when they're around the kids too, and they go, "Oh yeah, that's right. Children are around." And not saying I don't get mad at them for swearing at my children or for swearing around the children, but they themselves try to be cognizant of it, and they go,
Yeah.
I don't know how you can do it sometimes. But it's a huge thing, guys. Honestly, because again, your children can pick up on this whether you think they're listening or not. So if you think they're distracted by reading a book or watching TV or whatever you're doing, and you're on your phone, and all of a sudden you say, "Oh shit," well, guess what? 9 out of 10 times the child probably heard it,
Yep.
and now it's starting to become a little more acceptable. If you're constantly swearing, they're gonna pick up on it faster. I know my parents. I'm pretty sure they never. Maybe they were swearing behind closed doors, but they never really swore when my sister and I were younger. Um, so I started first hearing like swear words in like middle school, and it's like, oh well, whatever. Or as I started getting older, that's when things, my bubble started popping in a sense, or like, I won't say I was very innocent, but at the same time, I was probably more innocent than a lot of other children were as well. But that's all because of how I was raised. My children are probably going to be on a little more of an innocent side, but I'm also wrong because I've got another friend that just swears like a sailor. Sam's got a lack of a filter, honestly, but we're all different. Um, but we all still try to do the things that are right, um, or what we think is still right for our children. So, that's a lot. And there's still some more.
Yeah.
There are obviously more habits out there. But keep in mind, guys, these are some of the habits that we thought were very critical to touch base on, such as keeping a parent, maybe having sharing responsibility, developing some kind of habit like that, sleeping, what is your sleeping habit like? We just want to bring recognition to it, um, to some of these, and maybe have you think about what it is you can do or what you want to do, if you haven't thought about it before, or bring to light some things you may do that you're not aware of, such as eating in front of your children, like snacking before dinner, and then telling your children, being a hypocrite in a sense, right? Even though you may think it's my right because I'm an adult. Um, Again, it's not, I don't think it's necessarily acceptable because it does teach your child a habit down the road that they can use. Or maybe you just don't care, which, again, that's up to you. That's up to
Right.
you as a parent. Um, we can share our opinions. If you think we're wrong, cool. Or if you think we're right, awesome. Opinions are opinions. We can express them. You can express your own opinions. Speaking of which, leashdads14@gmail.com. Hit us up on Facebook. Uh, Comment to us on Spotify, YouTube, TikTok, wherever you like to get your source of Leashed Dads and this wonderful content we're making for you. With that being said, though, excuse me. Tonight I felt like this, though. Time flies like an arrow. Fruit flies like a banana.
Yes, they do.
Yep.
God, every year during summertime.
Every year during the summertime, yeah, it does fly by. Oh my gosh, like today I think yesterday actually flew by really fast all of a sudden. Um,
No, fruit flies and bananas.
oh, yeah, 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 yeah. Blonde moment right over my
Hey,
head.
if you guys have a remedy of getting rid of fruit flies when you buy bananas during the summertime, let me
Please stop.
know. Leash Dads 14. I don't know, I'm serious because it's a problem.
It is. It is. It can be. Uh,
It's a pain point.
a
Next.
pain. What do sprinters eat before they race?
Alfredo.
Nothing. They fast.
Ah.
What does corn say when it gets a compliment?
Oh, like Jonathan Davis from Korn. What does he say when he gets a compliment?
No, what does corn say when it gets a compliment? Aw, shucks.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, here. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? I had. Oh, what do you call a pile of cats?
Cat pile.
A meowton. Hey guys, thank you very much, Jared. As always, I appreciate the amazing constant host here. We will see you next week. Stay tuned. Look out for us on Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, whatever. LeashedDads14 at gmail.com. Facebook is LeashedDads. TikTok, it's just mine. You can look up us on podcast series, whatever you want to call, or find out through the hashtags. Wonderful stuff. But we'll see you next week. Have a good night.